For the whole night shift chapter, I mean, I went into it, I started by reading all of the columns he wrote when he was an undergraduate at UMaine, in the UMaine campus newspaper. And he had this column called King's Garbage Truck. And it was like, it's an incredible treasure trove because it's got all of the things that he's thinking about, like what albums he's listening to, what books he likes to read, but also like descriptions of him in a anti-war protest, getting hit in the stomach by a fellow student and just that. So it just opened up a lot of avenues for me when I got to a story like The Children of the Corn, for example, which I had no idea. I was like, am I really going to see anything if I go back to this story? I don't know. Luckily, there was an early draft of it in the archives that he never published because most of the night shift stories actually were published elsewhere, and didn't change a lot, with just tiny things. But wow, that Children of the Corn has a very different version that's in the archives that to me really spoke to his his angst about like what, because he wrote it pretty close to his time as discovering his politics and being a student and experiencing that disillusionment about like my fellow peers are going to beat me up, or like who are they, like
Mm.
um and and then the Kent State shootings happen right while he's an undergrad, so he's thinking about like what if you join the National Guard and you have to end up shooting one of your fellow peer, it's just. So when I got to the Children of the Corn, which is just called The Children, the version that is in the archives, what was really interesting is Bert is definitely like, there's a lot more backstory to Bert. He's much more violent against the kids, and he actually kind of is psyched about it. And he's kind of grappling with the fact that he used to be an anti-war activist, that he used to be a
Mm.
pacifist. And none of this makes it to the final version of the story that people know. So it's really, it's like he's grappling with like, what kind of person am I going to be? Like, to me, it's a story about loss of ideals, but it's also about like a grown up being violent toward kids and harming them, right? And then those kids having to now sacrifice themselves at age 18 instead of 19, and it's just to me such a powerful story about the draft, but also about like what is it like to realize that the grown-ups might pass on really crappy stuff to you and might not actually be there to protect you. So that's just a micro example. I mean, there were much bigger things, bigger changes that I found, but I loved the micro things. I mean, those were to me like, as a literature person, I know you can relate to this. It's like that's the that's the fun, right? When you find those
Mm.
little jewels. Yeah.